Back at last May's local election, Reform UK made this whole big song and dance that they were going to ride into these council offices or these, the local town hall, and that they were going to demand that all this waste, fraud, and abuse be silenced at once, and that somehow doing this would save the council billions of pounds and thus solve the local funding crisis, which many councils have been facing for years. Why have they been facing this? Because they were the ones who bore the brunt of austerity. They were always the ones that told to do more with less and less resources. There is no more money to cut. And as much as I do not like the Tories, over the years, there have been a number of actual Tory councillors who have stood up and said, guys, why are you doing this? This isn't a good strategy. You do not understand what is happening, what the stuff we are having to do. The revolting that we are seeing against like the local parties. The local Tories had been on this train for a very good number of years and had been trying to warn the main party about this for years. But of course, they were ignored. They are still, of course, being ignored in regards to many, of course, the funding crises that they currently do exist. But that's by the by. But Reform, of course, promised that the whole reason why these councils were in these, crises were because there was all this waste, fraud, and abuse going on. And the only reason they were going to be able to solve this waste, fraud, and abuse was that they were going to unleash D.O.G.E, yes, the Department of Local Government Efficiency, led, of course, by Zia Youssef and his team of maverick accountants, software engineers. We're going to come in, audit these councils, and they were going to just uncover all the waste. Well, Kent was meant to be first, and guess what? Turns out they couldn't find anything. Shock horror. Meanwhile, of course, we go back all the way to then and think of like the videos where we were telling these guys on these campaign trails that were making these kinds of insane promises, saying, well, okay, what are you going to cut? All this funding, etc., is all public knowledge and information. What exactly are you going to cut? What services are going to now have to take the brunt? What people are going to lose their jobs? So now instead, they are now raising council tax. Something which they promised very specifically in these local elections not to do. And Reform UK breaking promises. Imagine my shock. Imagine my shock, dear readers, when they had to say this. So we're going to go over to Kent today and find out how, once again, Reform UK not fulfilling their promises and just being, once again, completely and absolutely incompetent at the very things they claimed competence about. So, before we do go on into this, please do, of course, remember to click the like, share, and, of course, the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to ring the bell, of course, so you get notifications when we go live or we drop a new video. There are, of course, links down below to the Patreon page, the Buy Me Coffee link where you can buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and, of course, the YouTube membership as well. Up there in the corner, there's the QR code that will take you straight to the Patreon page as well. So remember, it is Wednesday as well, so there will be a new video for the Patreon members and, of course, the YouTube members as well. So that will be coming soon. If not seen it already, go give it a watch. So, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel. Even if you do, just click the like and share button. And, of course, don't forget to leave a comment down below, so that helps with all the algorithmical things and stuff. So let's go on into this, because oh boy. Anyway, Reform UK likely now to raise council tax in Kent despite the promises to cut costs. Oh, what a shock. So, a Reform UK council, where the party, of course, sought now to pilot drastic cost-cutting plans, is now going to raise council tax, a cabinet member has now admitted. The services at a Kent County Council were already now down to the bare bones, said Reform's cabinet member for adult social care, Diane Morton. It makes Kent the latest local authority, led by Farage's own party, now signal its intention to raise council tax. We've got more demand than ever before, and it's growing, Morton told the Financial Times. We just want more money. This has been said to these people so many more times. At the moment, why are we having rising demand? Well, you've only got to look at what's going on demographics-wise. We have an ever-increasing aging population, which is adding to the adult social care budget. It's basic knowledge. It's fact. What has been going on? It has been increasing over the past couple of years consistently. And yet they've been told this. They've denied this. They've turned around and said, "Oh no, you don't understand. It's just waste or fraud or abuse that's going on." Recently, in one of the councils we just recently covered, they accused parents of trying to defraud the system. And they were making claims about this. So if parents are defrauding the system, when can we expect these prosecutions to come forward? Or can you actually show us one of these supposed fraudulent claims? Guess what? Those aren't very forthcoming at the moment. But back to this. Morton said that she believed that the local authority would now raise council tax by 5% to the maximum permitted. As councils, of course, try to honour their legal duty to make sure that spending now adds up before budgets are set for next year. And oh boy, this whole budget time ahead is going to be very, very interesting indeed. The Reform leader of the West Northamptonshire Council also said last month that council tax rises were again highly likely to go up next year. The Reform leader at Durham has also said that now, without additional funding from the central government, it will have to make stark choices between council tax increase and cuts to vital local services. Well, here's the thing. Most of those local services you can't actually cut because they are legally required to provide that. Far better to, of course, increase your council tax. May not like that, but that is the situation where they will have to be in. That is just the reality of the situation. This is the classic case of fantasy meets reality. And in this case, reality always wins. Another one, Staffordshire County Council's Reform leader, Ian Cooper, also said last month that he hoped to reduce a 5% council rise, but then added, whether we can, of course, deliver is, of course, based on inflation. We'll just have to wait and see. So all these councils are going to have to raise council tax. And it's inevitable. They've got no choice but to. Morton's comments are also very particularly pertinent because recently in Kent, Reform had now been seeking to pilot the Elon Musk-style Department of Government Efficiency and to try and examine all council spending costs in areas that it now controls and try to cut costs. Instead, the UK D.O.G.E team, led by the Reform's head of policy, Zia Youssef, now appears to run into difficulty. Oh, wow. In all accessing very sensitive council data at the Kent and elsewhere. Because who is going to give them this very pertinent, information, this sensitive information? Why are they going to just hand over this information to you? What are you going to do with it? What are your data security and controls like? You've got to be sure of that. And of course, they couldn't be sure of that. And no council would hand over that type of information anyway, even if the council leader is, as you've seen here, a Reform UK leader. The council officer is going to turn around and go, no, I'd risk a data breach. Don't think so. So, Polly Billington, the Labour MP for East Thanet in Kent, said, the Reform's leader in Kent said that the Reform councils were now the biggest advert for what a Nigel Farage government would, of course, look like. Daisy Cooper, the leader of the Liberal Democrats, also said that the admission now of a looming council tax rise in Kent was a spectacular failure, for which Youssef must now personally apologise. Run on this. I hope other parties run on this and just whip Farage very, very rigorously on this one, because it is very embarrassing for them. I think they should just go very, very much so. Reform UK said that its councillors in Kent and county councillors had all been working to now, and quote, clean up the mess left by the Conservatives, reducing the authority's debt by 66 million in their first 5 months in office. But guess what? Those debt reductions already came from that Conservative administration. Reform once again taking credit for something they did not do. Again, pretty much a pattern. And potentially next May, something you're going to have to watch out for as well. The party said that most of the savings came from the cost-cutting initiative team made and set up by several cabinet members. A spokesperson went on to add that the council had also introduced a, quote, no more borrowing policy aimed at reducing the debt further by 33 million by March of 2026. And of course, scrapping its net zero renewable energy program, which they said would save about 32 million pounds over 4 years. But here's the thing, there will now long-term not only savings, investment, and money saving opportunities that would have beyond just those 4 years. So yeah, you've scrapped that, you've saved 32 million pounds over 4 years. But what about 5 years, 6 years, 7 years? Plans where those were thought out for. None of this has gone into any kind of serious thinking. Kent County Council is also now one of the largest authorities in England by population and has around a £2.5 billion annual budget. Half of its spending goes to now social care, with children now and special needs education in Send. It is already now announced that it is filing now a shortfall of £50 million for the next financial year. What is it on Send? Transport issues. Why? Haven't been building enough schools. Biggest problem. We've seen this elsewhere in another recently in Worcestershire. They were going to build a brand new secondary school, but Reform turned around and closed it, which is now going to have bigger long-term consequences, which looks like in 2029, they're going to have to start construction of a new secondary school. But here's the thing, if they'd started construction on that new secondary school, it would have been completed in 2029, meaning you wouldn't need to start construction on that school in 2029, which now if you are going to start that school in 2029, has to go through the whole planning, etc. It might not even be ready by like 2039 or even 2038, depending on how long all that process takes. Meaning that there's going to be huge problems caused in overcrowding of these schools from their short-term planning, which they just did not understand why you needed that extra school, that extra secondary school place to help alleviate all these problems of overcrowding. No thought at all. No thought at all whatsoever from these people. So where we did so Farage have also suggested that Kent can of course make savings by cutting the amount it spends on school transport. Why is school transport? Because the schools are farther apart. Guess what? You need to build more schools so that kids don't have to travel so far. This is something that has been talked about so many times, and they just don't do it. However, independent experts such as the government, the Institute for Government, have also said that reform-run local councils now face the very same brutal arithmetic as those now its political opponents now control. While the party has suggested it could look at now its spending in areas it regards as wasteful, such as diversity and equality programs, the IGF said that this year the numbers, of course, did not stack up to other councils, and it could be even templated now to make short-term spending cuts for only at least stored problems for the future. For example, the think tank said that trying to divert funds for Kent's Family Hub, a network aimed at assisting children and young people, including those with SEND, would of course be a false economy in terms now of long-term savings, as it would produce, would also go on to face further legal challenges. Oh dear. Kent very much there has failed. What a surprise. What a surprise indeed. Fantasy meets reality. Reality always wins. That's what has happened here. That is what has happened 100% here. They were told, they were warned, even when they got elected. other councillors were saying, okay, well, what exactly are you going to cut? What exactly are your policies? What exactly are you going to do with regards to all this? Like, oh, don't worry, we're so much better than you guys. We're not going to do the same politics. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Failing in local government. Not a good sign for how, how they might want to run things, is it? As I've said before, in the upcoming May local elections next year, it's very likely they will probably win some more council seats and more councils, which is going to make my job even more hectic, trying to cover all the new chaos that is going to happen, as well as the current existing chaos that is going to happen on some of these councils as well. So, as always, if you want to keep up with all that, please do remember to hit the like and share, and of course the subscribe button as well. Do remember to leave a comment down below, especially if you are from Kent as well, or one of those other councils. Would love to hear your thoughts on this, as always. And, of course, we'll see you all